thought it was a great interview.
Yeah.
I really liked the part dissecting the different kind of truth songs and what was new and what wasn't new and his relationship with the other band members. It really was a well-done interview and not the typical Q&A. And if you haven't read it yet, it's well worth reading.
Now, one thing in the Spin article that he did, okay, they talk about the Michael Anthony situation. He directly addresses it. This is from Wolf. He says, looking cynically on paper, as a kid replacing a longtime member, it's like, yeah, you should hate me. It's a lot more nuanced than that. It's not like my dad was like, fuck you, get out of here. My dad wasn't going through a good time, and Mike was having a good time playing with Sam. Sam wasn't in the band. Sure, it's a little dicey and complicated, but he really wasn't a part of it anymore. I completely understand that he wouldn't want to be around my dad when he was like that. It was never like I went to my dad and said, in a cagey movie villain voice, I should be playing bass. At that point, I wanted to keep my dad alive. So, listen, that's about as honest and frank as it gets. And he also talked about, and this is fucking horrible to read, but he talks about his dad passing, which was just fucking awful. And he said that he was in the hospital room and he was literally sobbing and having to go through his phone to find a picture of Ed. And I landed on my favorite picture of him where he was just sitting there laughing, and he hit the post on Instagram and he said it was the most painful things he's ever done, and it made the whole situation real for him. He said he was alerted about the TMZ noting about it. Obviously made him very uncomfortable, but this is him talking about the song Distance. He says, I thought people would check it out, just considering everything. I mean, that's not why I put it out. I put it out because I love my dad. I'm just glad that the song resonated in a way I hoped. It's heartbreaking, but also incredible to see in somebody's worst moments of their life that I can at least give them some sort of emotion that isn't sorrow. He says to this day he can't really even bring himself to watch the video because it's too painful. So what'd you make of that, Dave?
Yeah, that was brutally honest. You're never going to get a better answer than that. And, I was like, wow, I certainly appreciate him, putting it out there for everyone to see and hear.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
That's not something you typically get.
No.
From a member of the Van Halen camp.
No, yeah, so, he's very frank. He's very frank, this guy.
Yeah,
he's not hiding anything. Now, in his interview with The Telegraph, he said Eddie was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in 2017. He said, we got some good livable years, but that was the beginning of the end, I would say. It really didn't take a turn for the worst until the end of 2019. There were still some positive moments in between, but that's when it took a nosedive. So many different health issues stacked up on top of each other, he just buckled under the weight of it all. That was when he talked about Eddie was flying to Germany for treatments and this and that, but eventually the cancer spread to Eddie's spine and his brain, and he died at the age of 65, of course. He also talked about that how people kept thinking that he was piping in the vocals and bass sound when he was in Van Halen. He says they like to make up that I was piping in the bass sound and I was just miming along, which is funny to me. Over the years, I've taken it as the biggest compliment. That means it's good enough that they didn't believe I'm actually doing it, but I'm playing everything here, so they can't argue with that. He's talking about the new album. He described his dad as a secondary parent as a result of his mental and emotional health issues. I think I was forced to mature way earlier than people are normally asked to. As wonderful a father as he was, he had a lot of demons. They would come out every now and then. It's why my parents split. So, a couple of dark moments in that interview, right? What did you think of that?
Yeah, he doesn't hold back with that stuff, does he? I mean, he's not afraid to talk about that.
In Metal Hammer, he announced that his favorite song on the album, Dave, is Stone. He says, I'm really proud of it. It was fun to just go out on that one. He says he doesn't count Distance as the last song because it's a bonus track, and Stone is considered the album closer, and he wanted to go for broke on that and make an epic song. So he's very excited about that song. In talking about A Different Kind of Truth, he said it was a fun experience. I'd wake up every day excited to go to work and driving over and picking up his dad like they were going to school, and they were just getting in there and doing it. when asked if there was ever a consideration for a follow-up to A Different Kind of Truth, said that really wasn't on the agenda. He says, it really wasn't in the cards, considering by the time we toured again, my dad's health issues really started to crop up, so we couldn't really invest in that. I'd like to think if that hadn't been the case, we definitely would have worked together more, though. That was from Metal Hammer. So you gotta, pull out the chocolate chips, Dave. You know what I'm saying?
You're doing a very good job at that.
I appreciate that.
Best part of the cookie.
Yes. Now, in People magazine, he talked about his lyrics. He says, most of my lyrics are written at something or someone. It's almost like an amalgamation. You know how you always win arguments in the shower? It's like that. It's like anybody who's ever done me wrong or used me or lied to me, an amalgamation into this one being that I wrote lyrics at. Whew. So he's an intense young man, and if you listen to some of those lyrics, that's for sure. He says a lot of people have understandably preconceived notions about what this must be like. Oh, he's the son. It must sound exactly like it. But I've done everything I can to be my own person, and I think it really shows. And it's very freeing to start this path right now, rather than doing what everybody would expect me to do, get out there and just play covers of Van Halen songs. I don't think I ever want to do that, ever. So he really nailed that down in the People interview. Very sharp to the tongue on that one.
He'll change his mind.
You think so?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They always do. Sure. Like look at Dweezil. Dweezil was doing his own thing for years.
Yeah.
And now he's doing a tribute to his dad. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, by the way. Mm-hmm. But usually, people, when they want to prove themselves, especially if they're the children of famous parents, they really try hard to do their own thing, set their own course. And then later on in life, they're like, I've done that. I've proven everything I had to prove. Now I'm going to go back and pay tribute to my parents. So I think he will come to terms with that. Not right away. Maybe in 20 years or something like that. But I think it'll happen.
20 years when all the Van Halen fans are fucking old as shit. So
yes, but but that's the way it happened.
No, I hear you. It took that long for Dweezil. That's for sure. It took Dweezil easily 20 years. Well, maybe not 20, but close to it.
No, I think it was about 20.
Maybe 15. So I don't know, a long time.
All right, well, whatever. It's going to be more than a decade is my point. It's not going to happen in the next 5 years.
Right, that's true. He also said in the interview with Billboard that the songs on this album were written a really long time ago. Dave, these songs were written between 2013 and 2015. So basically, the period between A Different Kind of Truth and the live album. Half of them were done before the Van Halen tour in 2015. And then when he was out there, he wrote 10 or 12 more songs. And he says he thinks he has a whole album's worth. And he's got close to 30 songs, though. He says, so there's plenty on the cutting room floor to work with, and he's excited about getting back at that. But he said that the album was done, completed, by August of 2018, and that he was rehearsing with his band in December of 2018. So it was that fully done that long ago. So my God, just when we talked about that years ago, if you can believe that, it's 3 years ago. Unbelievable. He was excited that his video had hit 5 million views, and he said that was insane to him, and that one of the greatest lessons he learned from his father was not musical, but to enjoy yourself and not take things too seriously. So that came from the Billboard interview. I thought that was really interesting on that. In regards to his interview with USA Today, he talked about the final Van Halen show. He says, do you have a favorite memory of performing with your dad? He says, the last 2 shows we did at the Hollywood Bowl in 2015 were really special. Being able to play in such an amazing venue, looking back and having them unknowingly being the final shows made those really special to me. And I also want to note on our last Wolf item for news is that Wolf now has his own Sirius XM show called Top of the Pack. It's going to come out monthly on Sirius XM. It's on Channel 25, Classic Rewind. And I listened to it. It's like an hour-long show, and Wolf narrates it. He started off doing a little Van Halen. So it was interesting because it was the anniversary of For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, which came out in June of 1991. He played Judgment Day, and he played Right Now, and of course, He played his own theme song, which is 316. He said that his father initially called that song Happy Blues. That was the original name for it, and he played it up against his mother's belly when he was obviously being born. So he said, though, that there is footage of him in his mom's lap while Ed recorded the song. He said, and he wants to release that for the fans one day because he thought that would be kind of fun, which was really neat. I thought that was kind of cool. Then he played some other songs that he loved, like Guns N' Roses' Live and Let Die, and cover of the Wings song, and Peter Gabriel's Big Time, which he noted Stuart Copeland's on drums. I never knew that. Nirvana's In Bloom. He said Dave Grohl is one of his favorite musicians, and he also played The Girls Got Rhythm from AC/DC because he's a big fan of them. Next to You by The Police, Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith, Paranoid by Black Sabbath, and he talked about going backstage and meeting Tony Iommi, calling him a really sweet guy. He also played Tom Petty's Learning to Fly, and he closed with Stone, his favorite Mammoth song, which was kind of cool. And I thought that was neat. He played a couple other Mammoth songs. I think he played Epiphany, and so that was kind of cool. I thought he did a really nice job. He's got a nice voice to narrate. He's very soft-spoken. And what do you think of all this Wolf stuff, Dave?
I'm telling you, he's getting out there.
Yeah.
Right? I
yeah.
mean, he's definitely doing press. You can't accuse him of not doing press.
No, he's doing it. Lots of it.
He's got a radio show. He's doing once a month now. Mm-hmm. He is going to tour. I mean, he's opening for Guns N' Roses, for crying out loud. You know, he's doing some festivals. So, like, he's making up for lost time, and he's getting out there. So, good for him. And, I mean, the album's good, too. It's not like, you know, he's pushing some crap product or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really very excited and happy for him that it's all coming together.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
Absolutely.
Really very happy.
Absolutely. And we're moving on to another member of Van Halen, which is Sammy Hagar. Sammy is getting out there. My God, Hagar at 73 years old, he don't stop. So him and the Circle have been touring Florida, and they have been playing with a new set list, and this is the set list. There's Only One Way to Rock, Pound Cake, Trust Fund Baby, 3 Lockbox, I Can't Drive 55, Humans Being, Good Enough, Little White Lie, Finish What You Started, Top of the World, Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy. Right Now, Why Can't This Be Love, Rock and Roll, the Led Zeppelin cover, Heavy Metal, Sammy's song, Mas Tequila, Heroes, Dave Bowie cover, and Affirmation. Now, I thought this set list has been refreshed and revamped. I think it's fantastic. My only complaint, because you know I always have a complaint.
You always got to find something.
Okay, I think the set list is beautifully done. And let me tell you something. For those who have not seen Sammy live, closing with Affirmation is a really good closer. It works, trust me. I have to say, I said it before on this podcast, I believe it was in January. Heroes I love the song Heroes by David Bowie. It is not a song for Sam. It just doesn't go vocally with his range, and it doesn't flow with this set list. You want to put something in that spot? Amsterdam, Summer Nights, Best of Both Worlds. Come on. However, I have to say, he's doing a good 7 Van Halen songs out of 18 tracks, and here's a clip. That's pretty good, but I want to say that those are some really nice choices, and I like his choices for his Sammy songs. What did you think of the set list, Dave?
I like the set list. I thought it was really strong, really top-notch.
Yep.
I don't have the problem with Heroes that you do.
Okay.
I don't think it's that out of place on the set. I mean, I know he sings that song in a way he doesn't typically sing, but it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. And you know what? That's like the one questionable choice, because the rest of the set list is, I mean, I don't want to say it's perfect, but he's really picking the best of his stuff. So good for him for picking good stuff and for refreshing the set list, because he could have just done the same old.
Absolutely.
And been done with it.
Absolutely. And I personally think it's Jason Bonham pushing him, because I know Jason loves these songs. And here's another thing. Know When It's Love. No Eagles Fly. He opens up the set list for some more rockers, which I enjoy. Although, Dave, you know what he's not doing? He's not giving Mike that solo spot, is he?
Oh no.
Hey,
no.
maybe he could drop
I know
Heroes.
he loves. I know